At this time in Iran, 50 Americans are still held captive, innocent victims of terrorism and anarchy. Also at this moment, massive Soviet troops are attempting to subjugate the fiercely independent and deeply religious people of Afghanistan. These two acts, one of international terrorism and one of military aggression, present a serious challenge to the United States of America.
Hi, this is Denis Taaffe. 1979 was a year of turmoil for President Jimmy Carter. The hostages in Iran, the economy, the Cold War, and other calamities had plagued his presidency. But it was on April 20th, 1979, in the late afternoon, that an incident that is as frightening as it is bizarre, that shall remain a significant and infamous moment in history. Some conspiracy theorists even speculate that the incident may have been a clever and diabolical assassination attempt.
Noisy neighbors you have here. They're just having a dance. Funny, no music. Well, it looks like you win, Vic. Just a minute.
In any case, the rumored incident on that fateful day was that President Jimmy Carter was attacked by a vicious rabbit.
Francis goes to her room and looks out the window. Hopper goes to his room, too.
When I first heard about it, it was just a silly rumor circulating on the internet, and not to be trusted. I didn't really believe it. I mean, the whole story is preposterous, and unlikely to have actually occurred. First off, rabbits are cute and fluffy. And rabbits don't swim, do they?
Francis would like to go outside and play. Her friend Hopper likes to play outside too, but today it's raining. Hopper had better be careful and not get wet. Francis only goes to the edge of the porch, but Hopper went too far and got wet. He doesn't like that. It's hard to have fun outside in the rain and keep dry, isn't it? Francis and Hopper will have to do something indoors.
I never heard of a rabbit attacking anyone, let alone the President of the United States.
Few wild animals, such as foxes, are dangerous unless we try to touch or to catch them. Only occasional wild animals will try to hurt anyone if not cornered.
I checked the internet and found the same rumored story, along with a doctored photo. It had a superimposed rabbit and a caption. And while it was funny, the rumors persisted. I thought that there surely must be some truth to it. So I decided to investigate and find out if this supposed incident ever occurred and try to discover what really happened.
Perseverance and wisdom in our efforts to limit the world's armaments to those necessary for each.
Go to 3800 River Street. Investigate an ice truck and a black sedan. Back of warehouse.
What, no rabbits? Say, what is all this? What are you looking at me for? I didn't do it. Honest.
Maybe not.
You're always trying to pin something on me.
Yes, and someday I'll be successful.
I'm sorry, sir, but the commissioner's taking his afternoon nap. I shouldn't like to disturb him.
Engaged in a massive armaments race designed to ensure.
After doing some searches on the internet, I decided to contact the Jimmy Carter Library and Museum. I didn't know much about Jimmy Carter, except that he had been president in the 1970s. And as a child in that period, I vaguely remember a few things, but had never heard about this rabbit incident. The Carter Library and Museum holds over 27 million pages of documents, 500,000 photographs, 40,000 objects, and motion picture film, videotapes, and audio tapes. This was the right place to learn about President Jimmy Carter. I do admit that while investigating, I gained a real respect for President Jimmy Carter and discovered a wealth of information. I found that President Carter really did accomplish a great deal in many different areas, including being a politician, a Naval Academy graduate, an educated scholar, a peanut farmer, writing over 16 books, a humanitarian, and winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, which he received on December 10, 2002 in Oslo, Norway. He even gave an official statement placed on the Voyager spacecraft golden record for its trip outside our solar system on June 16, 1977. I thought learning about President Carter would be a good start to uncovering the truth about the rabbit incident. President Jimmy Carter is the 39th President of the United States. He was born on October 1, 1924 in a small farming town of Plains, Georgia, earning him the distinction of being the first president born in a hospital. He grew up in the nearby town of Archery, Georgia. His father was a peanut farmer and ran a farm supply store in Plains. His mother was a nurse. In 1943, Jimmy attained a dream of his in joining the Navy and enrolling at the U.S. Naval Academy at Annapolis during World War II. His sister had a friend named Rosalind Smith, who Jimmy became fond of and eventually married in 1946. He married her soon after receiving a B.S. degree from the United States Naval Academy. For the next 2 years, Jimmy would serve on radar ships. After becoming a lieutenant in the Navy, he was ordered to submarine duty in the Pacific. In 1951, Jimmy was ordered to oversee the construction of the USS K-1, an anti-submarine vessel. And in 1953, after the death of his father, Jimmy retired from the Navy and returned to Plains, Georgia. He worked in the family business as a peanut farmer, and by this time had 3 children, Jack, Chip, and Jeff.
Frankly, I try to stay away from him as much as possible because the crowds can get dangerous at a time. It depends on where he moves, especially if you're close to him, because of the people so compact. And we were in Florida. I guess it was March the 9th, the night of the Florida election. We got pushed away from him, and I thought I was going to get killed in the crowd. I thought they were going to crush me. But you know, if you stay with him within this little group of Secret Service, it's fine. If you drop outside it, then you're just lost. You know, you're out in the crowd. So I try to stay away from him. You know, if we go out to eat with him, you always sit on the opposite side of the table because everybody's flashing their cameras, and so you don't get the camera flashing like all night. It's unusual, you know.
Yeah, it must be.
Never seen him by himself because he's always got people with him. But that's okay. I'm sure that we can adjust to it under the circumstances.
Never?
He doesn't watch TV at all. He might watch the news. He doesn't really have time. He works all the time. At 11:30 at night, I'm off. I can do what I want to.
Did you go to the Rolling Stone party last night?
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, it was hysterical.
Were there celebrities?
Yeah.
Who did you see?
Oh, let me see who was there. We met the editor of Fortune magazine, the editor of Ms., the editor of the Rolling Stone, of course.
Were there any movie stars there?
Yeah, Paul Newman was there. Phil Waldron, you know who he is? He's the owner of Capricorn Records, the Allman Brothers, Marshall Tucker Band.
I hear your father's a big Allman Brothers fan. Did you turn him on to that?
No, I think Phil did. He and Phil have been friends for a lot longer than I've known Phil. And Phil sent Dad all his records while he was governor. They did some fundraisers for us during the presidential campaign, during the primaries. But before that, he came out to the mansion and they'd come out and play. You know, we had Bob Dylan over and people like that. So as a matter of fact, they said Bob Dylan was there last night, but I didn't see him.
If we say to the American people, it is time for you to be sacrificial. Sacrifice.
My name's Jeff Peters.
What are you doing here?
I'm going to be attending the party. I'm waiting for a friend.
Carter, or are you for Rolling Stone?
I'm for Carter.
You for both?
For both.
You work for Rolling Stone?
I work for Carter as a member of his finance committee.
What do you think about Carter getting Rolling Stone to endorse him?
I think that's fantastic.
What do you think it means for Rolling Stone?
We be generous with each other.
Well, I think
we need to take to heart
that the Rolling Stone through Thompson has shown that they can listen really well, and that's a good quality.
What are they listening to?
I think they're listening to what Carter's saying.
What's Carter saying?
and that affection.
He's saying that
liberty.
America can have a purpose again. America can have a sense of values again.
What do you think that purpose is and those values are?
By the willingness of each of us.
I think that I want to listen to Barbara Jordan espouse those values right now because I think she does that really well.
What are you saying?
Veterans should be allowed into the party tonight, you know, and I think I'm being discriminated against. It's an affront against me and thousands of veterans around the United States. If Vietnam veterans aren't allowed into this party, I think it's ludicrous. I'd like to know what Mr. Carter's stand on Vietnam veterans are, you know, and what's going on here. If veterans can't get into this party, where does Jimmy Carter stand, and where does Rolling Stone stand? So let's go. We're going to try to get in here right now. We'll see how Mr. Carter and Rolling Stone feels about Vietnam veterans. I was thrown out of the Republican convention 4 years ago and spit in the face and called a traitor. We're going to go in and see how the Rolling Stone feels. I'd like to get up here if we could, please. Now listen, I think, hold on a second. Yeah, I think this is kind of ridiculous. We're trying to get in here, you know, I'm a Vietnam veteran. Why can't I go in here? What's wrong? You know, am I being discriminated against? I spent 2 tours. Vietnam. I was arrested 9 times for protesting. Look, I was on the centerfold of the Rolling Stone in 1973. Why can't I go in?
No invitation.
Well, I've been invited by Mr. Jimmy Carter to come in here tonight by Rolling Stone magazine. Now, hold on. I don't think you should close this door on me. Look. This is supposed to be what the Republicans did to me 4 years ago. Why are you blocking the door? Don't stand in the hallway and don't block up the door, Bob Dylan said. So why are you blocking the door on me?
Watching on Theodore Field.
I thought that we would have progressed 4 years since the Miami Convention. I can't get into this. Well, maybe I'm not one of the beautiful people. Maybe I'm not one of the beautiful people because I'm sitting in the wheelchair.
His 4th child was born some years later in 1967. Jimmy enjoyed his new life and spent many hours riding around plains on his motorcycle. In 1963, Jimmy decided to run for state senator. He was almost defeated because of a voting scandal, but was able to prove that the ballot boxes had been stuffed. This forced a new election, and this time Jimmy won. From 1953 to 1966, Jimmy served 2 terms as state senator. In 1966, he decided to run for governor. With very little time to prepare, Jimmy was slapped. As the votes showed Jimmy to be in 3rd place. Disappointed, he vowed with a vengeance to run again in 1970. Now, a little-known fact was that in 1969, Jimmy gained an interest in UFOs after claiming to have witnessed a UFO.
Carter, alien, nano. Carter, alien, nano. Carter, alien, nano.
That's right, an unidentified flying object, perhaps of an extraterrestrial nature.
Carter, alien, nano.
In 1969, he went as far as to file a report with the Oklahoma City International UFO Bureau, who requested a report after hearing of the incident.
You don't remember where you got this? You know, your medical chart shows no indication of any scars on your body.
I must have got it in a crash.
No, this was surgery. A very skillful incision.
I've never had an operation.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand.
When I regained consciousness, I was on a table. Next thing I knew, they were coming at me. Strange people. Their eyes, those horrible eyes. They didn't speak. I could see something strange and eerie pulsating in front of me. Then one of them lowered it toward my chest. It was my own heart. What happened? What is this place?
Who are you? What are you doing to me?
Can't you speak? Who are you?
Jimmy did run again for governor in 1970, and this time was declared the winner, becoming the 76th governor of Georgia. In 1972, Jimmy decided ambitiously to run for president, even though he was pretty much an unknown governor. He announced his candidacy for President of the United States on December 12, 1974, and his interest in UFOs continued.
Let it go! Steady now, steady now. He'll kill everyone. We've got to stop him!
Easy, Doug, easy.
In fact, during his presidential campaign, Jimmy promised that if elected, he would make public any UFO cover-ups by the government and would release everything the government had on UFOs. A few conspiracy theorists suggest that this was perhaps one of the main reasons why he was elected president. Regardless of the reasons, on November 2, 1976, he was elected to be president. Jimmy Carter was sworn in as the 39th President of the United States on January 20th, 1977. He was 52 years old. His vice president was Walter Mondale, a former senator from Minnesota. Jimmy's interest in UFOs continued well into his presidency.
Carter, alien, nano, nano. Carter, alien, nano, nano. Carter, alien.
In fact, the Carter White House proposed many studies on the subject, the most famous being the Carter Extraterrestrial Communication Study.
I see you are quite well. You have recovered from your unfortunate accident.
Who are you?
A scientist, like yourself.
Where do you come from?
From a planet, yet unknown to you.
You know my name. You speak English.
We speak every language.
Can't expect me to believe that. I'm getting out of here.
Stay where you are.
Who are you?
I have already told you that.
How did you get here?
Here. In our machines magnetically propelled across the electron bridge we have created.
Electron bridge? You mean you come and go, just like that? Without anyone ever seeing you?
Our ships have been sighted on numerous occasions by your people.
Then why haven't we been able to track one down?
We have a warning system similar to your primitive radar. Our machines are set to change course at the mere approach of a pursuing object.
Let's say I do believe you. Where are we right now?
In a cavern.
Now, the rabbit incident happened on Friday, April 20th, 1979, 2 years into the Carter presidency. To this day, there are those who insist that the attack on Jimmy Carter by the killer rabbit was in fact an alien assassination attempt, in retaliation for Jimmy reporting that he had seen a UFO some years earlier, and that the rabbit was not a rabbit at all, but instead an alien life form disguised as a rabbit. To support this theory, some suggest that even among aliens, squealing and being a snitch is a no-no.
But the boy won't talk. He won't tell us who the others were. It'll be much easier for you if you'll help us. Tell us who was with you. Just exactly what happened. You'll get off much easier.
Get off easier. Tell what happened. squeal on the other.
Well, boy, you want to talk? Okay, I won't ask you again.
Looks like you won't get your cut after all, copper. It'll kind of cramp your style having to live on your policeman's pay.
What do you mean? Just the usual squeal from a rat when he's trapped?
Other conspiracy theorists claim that it was also an assassination attempt. But the perpetrators were not aliens, but instead Russian government officials who, during the Cold War, worked with the Russian mafia, who spent many hours training killer rabbits to commit assassinations of world leaders. The Cold War was at its peak, after all.
Oh, I see you boys have everything under control. Take them out to the car. Come on, get moving.
All right, come on.
Come on, move. All right, come on.
It was well known, however, that Jimmy enjoyed fishing. He found it relaxing and was an avid trout fisherman.
Watch me, the champion fly caster.
I don't mind if you catch me, just keep me away from that rabbit.
I tell you, there's no more fish left in this lake. Well, I guess old Isaac Walton himself missed one once in a while. For that matter, fish have got pretty good eyes themselves to protect them from their enemies. Now, wait a minute. Don't tell me a fish has got eyes like a hawk. No, but a fish can see where a hawk can't. Nothing can sneak up on him. You look here. Most fish, like the trout, have lenses in their eyes that are round like a ball. He's got two of these eyes, back to back, in the sides of his head. So Mr. Trout can see pretty near everything on the left side with his left eye and everything on the right with his right eye. Here in front, he sees with both his eyes. And to cover the rear guard, he sees with both his eyes back to here. How do they expect a man to catch fish with all that lined up against him? Oh, that isn't all. A fish can see above him. That includes things out of the water, like a man on the bank. I give up. From now on, you can settle with me for canned salmon. Wait a minute, boy, wait. There's one spot where a fish can't see a thing. Where's that? Right in front of his snout. It's a small place, but he has to use his nose to smell what goes on there. Well, that's different. That's exactly where I'm going to aim for from now on.
He tried to find any moment he could get free to go fishing. He even wrote 2 books dealing with the subject. An outdoor journal, and Sharing Good Times. Both books had Jimmy fishing on the cover. Years later, he would write a children's book with his daughter Amy, called The Little Baby Snoodle Feature. And the cover had an illustration with an animal that curiously looks like what could be a killer rabbit. The Carter Library and Museum had President Carter's personal diaries. If the rabbit story was true, then on this date, April 20th, 1979, there should be some kind of record of President Carter going trout fishing. As I looked at the records, I didn't see any mention of President Carter going fishing, rather a list of times of what he did and who he spoke with. However, I looked more closely, and sure enough, on April 20th, 1979, it listed President Carter at 5:34 p.m. to about 7:10 p.m. went trout fishing at Pond House, Plains, Georgia. Upon further investigation, I discovered that Pond House is President Carter's mother's house, Mrs. Lillian Carter. Jimmy, often accompanied by his brother Billy, would fish at the fish pond at Pond House. When the incident occurred, a White House photographer luckily captured the incident in a now infamous photograph. After some determination, I was able to obtain the actual photograph of the incident from the Carter Library and Museum. What you are seeing is not a recreation, but the actual photograph of the scene as it unfolded. Jimmy Carter was frantically trying to evade the killer rabbit, swatting it with his paddle and splashing water at the poor rodent, who was swimming away from the boat after a single attempt to enter the boat with Jimmy. Jimmy returned to the White House and described the vicious attack to his White House staff, who simply didn't believe such a ridiculous story. This infuriated Jimmy, and he ordered that the photo be blown up. With the picture blown up, he now had the proof that it was a rabbit that attacked him. Even then, his story wasn't believed, and a White House staffer suggested that it wasn't a rabbit and may have been a Myocastor coipus, otherwise known as a nutria, a large aquatic rodent known for its aggressiveness. However, the photo revealed otherwise. The story was not well known until White House Press Secretary Jody Powell innocently mentioned the incident to this man, Brooks Jackson, a reporter. The Washington Post ran it as a front-page news article along with a cartoon called Paws, a spoof on the movie poster Jaws. Soon, the entire country had heard of the incident. To ease the embarrassment of the incident, which the Washington Post had made very humorous, the Carter White House decided to issue a statement that the attack did occur, but it was not an ordinary rabbit, but rather a vicious Civilicus aquaticus, also known as a swamp rabbit, the largest of the cottontails. To make the rodent seem more sinister, they added that it was hissing menacingly, its teeth flashing and nostrils flared, and making straight for the president. They also stated that Jimmy had to swat at the rabbit with his paddle. However, they changed their story in order to not infuriate animal rights activists. Toning it down, they instead said that Jimmy had to splash water at the rodent. This attempt to demonize what looked like an ordinary rabbit backfired, however, and made the story even more humorous. Jimmy Carter left office on January 20th, 1981, losing his presidential re-election bid to Ronald Reagan. Some blame his poor showing in the re-election to the humiliation suffered by the rabbit incident that was still fresh in the minds of many voters. But Jimmy's accomplishments continued well after his years in the White House. My investigation was complete, and I was satisfied that the incident had occurred. And no one will really know if the incident of the killer rabbit was actually an alien or Russian assassination attempt, or just a mere freak of nature. Only you can decide. This is Denis Taaffe. Thank you for watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Of our first president in 1789. And I have just taken the oath of office on the Bible my mother gave me just a few years ago, opened to a timeless admonition from the ancient prophet Micah. He has showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. This inauguration ceremony marks a new beginning, a new dedication within our government, and a new spirit among us all. A president may sense and proclaim that new spirit, but only a people can provide it. 2 centuries ago, our nation's birth was a milestone in the long quest for freedom. But the bold and brilliant dream which excited the founders of this nation still awaits its consummation. I have no new dream to set forth today, but rather urge a fresh faith in the old dream. Ours was the first society openly to define itself in terms of both spirituality and human liberty. It is that spirit of unity and trust. Your strength can compensate for my weakness, and your wisdom can help to minimize my mistakes. Let us learn together and laugh together and work together and pray together, confident that in the end we will triumph together.
Jimmy Carter, alien, nano.